So myself, Dr. Pratiksha Umare. So today we will see the practical topic, that is from the angiosperm taxonomy. In that we have to classify the plants, identify the plants up to the family level. So there are total 10 families in your syllabus, consisting dicotyledonous families and monocotyledonous families. Today we will see the first family from your syllabus, that is the family Malvaceae. So in the Malvaceae plant, the type genus which you have to study, the specific genus which you have to study is the Hibiscus rosa sinensis. So we have already provided you the PowerPoint presentation of the family Malvaceae as well as the characters which consist of the characteristic features of the genus Hibiscus rosa sinensis. So today for the study we will have the Hibiscus rosa sinensis. So you all know this plant, and this plant is commonly known as Jaswand in Marathi. So you have all known this plant, that is Hibiscus rosa sinensis. Now we have to describe this plant in a technical language, and after describing it in the technical language, then further we have to identify its family, and then we have to classify it under that particular family. So first of all, we will have the description of this plant. So how is this plant? You all know. Is it we have also provided you the key for the description and identification of the plant. So you should know. So which type of the habit of this plant is? So is it herb, shrub or tree that it comes under? So hibiscus is the plant which comes under the shrub. So you have to write the habit which is known as the shrub in case of the Hibiscus rosa sinensis. Then the next point is root. The next organ which is you have to describe is the root. But in this case, in this twig, there is no root provided to you. So you have to write root not provided. Then next organ is the stem. So in the stem, you have to first of all describe, is it woody or herbaceous, is it hollow or solid? All those terminologies, they are given in your key which you have already provided for the description of the plants. So you have to see that. So the stem in this case is woody, and it is solid in nature, means it is when you break that stem, you will feel that it is solid from the inner side. Then in few cases, when the plant is smaller in size, the plant may be herbaceous instead of woody. Then at the upper portion of the plant, that is in the aerial parts of the plant, this most of the plants, they shows the herbaceous nature of the stem. Then about its is it erect or is it prostrate? Prostrate means it is growing parallel to the ground or soil. So that is called as the prostrate. But you all know this plant is not prostrate, it is growing erect towards the sunlight. So the next point which you have to describe is the erect. Then next is it angular or circular? Means you have to see the portion of the plant stem, is it angular or circular? So it is circular in its outline. Then is it branched or unbranched? You all know the stem, in case of the hibiscus, they are having the lots of branches in it. It is solid in nature. Then it is glabrous. So glabrous is the terminology which is for the its surface. So you can see the surface of this stem is glabrous in nature. So it is having the small tiny hairs on its surface. So that is called as the glabrous nature of the stem. So with this we have finished the description about the stem. So we have finished habit, then root, then stem. So we have to go for the next organ, that is the next organ is the leaf. So you have to first of all describe root, then stem. If root is provided, you have to describe root in technical language, then you have to describe stem. You might also write down the color of the stem. Finally, you can write brownish, green, what type of color of the stem is, you can also write it. Then after the stem, you have to describe the leaf. So these are the three vegetative organs which you have to describe in this sequence, that is root, stem and leaf. Now about the leaf. So you already studied in last semester the types of leaves. The leaves, are they simple or they compound? Then if they are compound, which type of the compound leaves are there, that you have already studied. So in this case the leaf is simple. Leaf is simple as it is having the single lamina, and so it is simple in nature. And you can see, before you start the description of the leaf, you also studied the stipule in the last year. So you can see, if there is a presence of stipule here, you can see there is a small outgrowth which is seen here, that is called as the stipule, which is present in between the leaf base and stem. So that is the part which is called as the stipule. And if it is present at the base of the leaf, we call it as a stipulate type of leaf. So in this case the leaf is simple, then it is stipulate, then it has the stalk. You all know, if it is having the stalk, so this is the stalk of the leaf, that is called as the petiole. So we call it as the petiolate leaf. So that is about the leaf. Then it is, how is the arrangement? The next important thing, or we can also call it as the phyllotaxy. How the leaves they are arranged? You can see in this tree, the leaves they are arranged in an alternate manner. They are not opposite, they are not whorled, they are present on the nodes. So about the position of, you can see in this is the position of leaf here, then next node is here, so next leaf is here, then next node is again here. So alternate type of arrangement or the phyllotaxy is seen in case of the hibiscus. Then how is its shape? After its arrangement, that is phyllotaxy, its type, is it stipulate or exstipulate, we have to go for the actual leaf. So this is the actual single leaf now we have to describe. In that we have to first of all describe its shape. Then it's after the shape. So how is the shape of this leaf? The leaf is ovate in shape, ellipsoidal or somewhat ovate in shape. Then after its shape, you have to describe its margin. So this is called as the, we have already studied all these things in the last semester. The margin is serrate in nature. As it is having the dentate structure, we call this type of margin. It is not the simple one. It is not, the outline is having the dentate structure. So we call this type of margin as a serrate type of margin. Then after that, after margin we have to go for the its apex. So this is the apex. You all know the leaf is divided into the stalk and leaf blade, and then after that leaf blade is then further consist of the number of midribs. How many number of midribs are there, lateral veins, its margin, its apex, all that you have studied in the last semester. So after that, in this case, you can see the apex is acute in nature. It is pointed, so we call that type of apex as a acute one. And then after that, its surface. How is the surface of the leaf? Is it rough, is it smooth, or is it having the hairs on it? So in this case, you can see the surface is glabrous, means small tiny hairs, very minute hairs there. If you will go for the actual laboratory practicals, you can observe it under the dissecting microscopes, the types of the hairs which are present on the surface of the leaf. So that is glabrous in nature. Then after that, we will go for the its venation. Now venation, if you have to study the venation, you can see the veins from the lower side. So this is the midrib and these are the lateral veins. As there is presence of single midrib and lateral veins, they are coming from it. You have studied this also in the last semester. So that is the reticulate venation which is present here. Reticulate, and only one midrib is prominent here, hence we call it as a unicostate, a reticulate type of venation. Okay, so this is unicostate reticulate venation. So with this we have completed the leaf. We can also write the color of the leaf. Obviously it is green in color, but you have to write it. Then next, with this we have completed the vegetative parts. Now we will go for the reproductive part, that is the important part of the plant, that is known as the reproductive part, which is called the flower. So this is the flower. You have already seen this flower. This is not new for you. So this is the flower. Which now, regarding the flower, first thing what you have to write is about its inflorescence, means about its position. Is it present in a bunch? Is it present in a group, or is it present in a single way? So in this case you have already seen the flower is single. So there is no any inflorescence type that you have already studied. It is not comes under the Cythium and or Spadix in all that type. So here the flower is single, so we call it as a solitary type of inflorescence. So flower is solitary, and it is coming from where? Is it coming from apex of the stem, or is it coming from the axil of the leaf? On the basis of that, we can say it as a solitary axillary or solitary terminal. So in this case, it is coming from the base of the leaf. You see here. This is the leaf, its base, and this is known as the axil of the leaf, and it is coming from the axil of the leaf. So the inflorescence in this case is solitary axillary, single flower coming from the axil of the leaf. Okay. Now next, about the single flower we have to describe. The flower is it having the bract or not? Now you know the bract, it is present at the base of the flower, that is petiole. Petiole ke base mein hota hai structure which is called as the bract. But as in this case there is no bract present, you have to observe here, is there any outgrowth present at the base of the petiole or not? In this case there is no such type of any outgrowth present, so we call this flower as a ebracteate flower. No presence of the bract here, so it is ebracteate. Then you have to go for the pedicel or the stalk. Uske baad mein, is it having the stalk? Yes, it is having the stalk. So we call this stalk of the flower is known as the pedicel. So we call it as a pedicellate flower. So as it consists of this long stalk, we call it as a pedicellate flower. Then after the pedicellate, you have to see the flower, is it consists of both the sex organs, that is male and female sex organs, and that flower is called as the if all the whorls, that is calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium, all the whorls are present in the flower, we call that flower as a complete flower. In some cases there may be presence of only calyx, corolla and androecium. In some cases there may be presence of only calyx, corolla and gynoecium. So that flower is not the complete, it is the incomplete flower. See? But in this case it consists of calyx, corolla and androecium. Then after that it is consisting of both the sex organs. So it is called as the bisexual flower. Just now I have told you, if it consists of only the androecium whorl, we call that flower as a male flower, and if it consists of the gynoecium, we call it as a female flower. But as in this flower, both androecium and gynoecium whorls are present, we call this as a bisexual flower, or it is called as the hermaphrodite flower. Okay. Then next is it actinomorphic or zygomorphic? So if you cut the flower in this plane, and it is divided into two equal parts, that type of flower is known as that type of flower is known as actinomorphic flower. If you cut it in this plane, in this plane, in this plane, and both the sides of the flower they are similar, that is called as the actinomorphic. If it is irregular, means this part is different from this part after its division, we call that as a zygomorphic. But when you divide this flower in this plane or in this plane, you will see both the parts they are exactly similar with each other. So number of petals also decides, are they, and their size also decides the flower is actinomorphic or zygomorphic. Then the next is about its number of the whorl members of the whorls. So this is the leaf. So now you see, these are from here the flower starts. You can see here small green outgrowths are there. These small outgrowths they are called as the epicalyx. These are the epicalyx parts. Then after the epicalyx you can see the other green part is there. The second next whorl is there. This is the green part which is known as the calyx whorl. And after the calyx whorl, this colored whorl which is present here is the corolla whorl. The elements of these whorls they are, or the members of these whorls they are called as the petals. Then this is the androecium, and inside the androecium there is the presence of gynoecium. So these are the part of gynoecium. 5 tips you can observe here. So these are the tips of the gynoecium. So like this, all the whorls which are present in the flower they are present here. So we call this as a complete flower, as well as when we count the number of the members of each whorl, they are in multiple of 5. Agar all the members, if all the members they are having the 5 numbers, that is 5 calyx, 5 corolla, we call that flower as a pentamerous flower. If they are 4 in number, we call it as tetramerous flower. But in this case, they are having the 5 members, so we call it as pentamerous flower. Then after that, it's is it epigynous or hypogynous? Means the presence of ovary. If the ovary is present below the calyx, that is called as the epigynous flower. But here this is the thalamus, and on the thalamus the position of ovary is here. So we call this flower as a hypogynous flower. It is called as the hypogynous flower. Then after the hypogynous flower, is it large or small? So you all know this is the large in size and its color is red. It might be having the other colors also. Instead of red, it also has the other colors, that is white, pink, etc. So with this we have completed the complete flower. Morphology of flower we have completed. Now we will go for the details of each and every whorl of the flower. Now I have already shown you the outermost whorl of the flower is epicalyx, which are small green parts, leafy parts. Okay. Then after that there is a calyx. The number of epicalyx may be 5 or 7. That varies according to the different flowers. Now about the calyx, this is the calyx whorl. So now we will go for its dissection. We will dissect the flower. Now you can see here I am dissecting the flower and we are removing the calyx whorl. So this is the calyx whorl. Complete calyx whorl, and I have also opened it. You can count the number of members which are present in the calyx whorl. The members of calyx whorls they are called as the sepals. So the sepals they are 5 in number. As I have already told, it is pentamerous flower. So number you can easily count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 calyx are present. Now the calyx they are joint at the base and they are free at the apex. You can see in this calyx tube, they are joint at the base and they are free at the apical region, and their color is green. This much you have to write there. With this you have to also mention its estivation. means how the arrangement of the members in the bud condition. So estivation in case of the calyx here is a valvate type of estivation seen in case of the hibiscus calyx, that we will see when we will draw the diagram, and you can also observe it in the PPT. You can also go through the PPT of the hibiscus rosa sinensis. You will see that they are not overlapping, they are united and they are arranged in a end to end manner. So that is the valvate estivation. So this much you have to write about the calyx. Then next one is the corolla. You can see here there is a corolla tube-like structure, but tube-like structure is there, but when we go for its dissection, we will see the number of petals. We can count here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if you go for its dissection, you can separate very easily all the members or the members of this calyx. So this is the 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. All the 5 members of the corolla tube were separated, and now this is the gynoecium and androecium remaining here. Now you see here how is the petals in the corolla tube, they are free from one another. So we can say the petals, they are 5 and they are, as they are free from one another, we call that condition as a poly